take that third, and that small group of speedlings is not going to be enough to prevent him. TLO moving in with the infestors too, threatening to fungal and catch a few of those speedlings, but it looks like Dimaga will pull back. Third base going down for TLO at this point. And it looks like TLO getting a lot more spine crawlers, so still opting to do some sort of possible push with those spine crawlers. As this wall is large but not quite complete. As you can see, there's space here and here and here, so it's not really going to stop his opponent from getting through, although when that Roach Hydra army does come in inevitably for Dimaga, that is going to cause a little bit of a problem. In the meantime, Dimaga building up quite a large force. Let's go to the army tab. So Dimaga slightly ahead of TLO at this point. Looks like Dimaga poking a little bit, but the Roaches will have none of it. And Dimaga opting for a third hatchery at his natural as well, doing the larva inject with his queen on that to get more economy. I've noticed that more and more with Zerg players lately, getting an extra hatchery at the natural once the economy starts going, especially once they take that third base. Never seen a Zerg get 3 hatches right in a row, though. That's a new one for me. But so far, so good for TLO. Although TLO, again, sinking a lot of money into these spine crawlers, which is going to hurt him in the long run in terms of sheer army size. Dimaga's still, considerably ahead at 143 over 123 right now. If we look at the income tab, Dimaga ahead as well in the infestor, in the drone count, that is. Looks like TLO is taking his 4th base, though, so TLO trying to catch up in the economy. I think it's going to be pretty tough for him to do that. Overlord sneaking through to get some scouting information. And it looks like he is probably going to be able to keep that alive for a little bit, but no, some queens coming in for Dimaga to finish off that Overlord. It will go down. Some Hydras already out on the field for Dimaga. Range finished. If we go back to the production tab, looks like an evolution chamber. 2 of them going up for TLO, so TLO really late in the upgrades too as well, but he is researching burrow, so possibly thinking of using some burrowed infestors and roaches to cause some problems for his opponent. Moving out with a little force of roaches and infestors, although I don't know if he's going to be able to do a whole lot of damage. He's able to catch a few lings with that first fungal growth. In the meantime, it looks like Dimaga still just macroing up. TLO will pull back, although those infestors did burrow there. So TLO moving in with some burrowed infestors, hoping to catch some drones unawares at the 4th base of Dimaga, but as we can see here, this base hasn't quite gotten going yet, so TLO is going to move into the 3rd. But I know I've seen some Overseers around the map for Dimaga, so we're going to have to see if he's got any in range. And there's the Overseer for Dimaga. First Infestor goes down without causing any damage. The second Infestor does get a fungal off on these Roaches, but it will not really cause much of a problem, as those Roaches will be able to heal up fairly quickly. TLO thinking of moving in with these Roaches, but thinking better of it after his Infestors are found. So Dimaga doing a good job of anticipating and kind of scouting out that burrowed Roach for TLO, or burrowed Infestors and Roaches, I would imagine. Getting enough Overseers to take a look at that. Looks like Dimaga doing a little bit of long distance mining, but that's going to end once the base does complete, which will be in just a moment. And it looks like Dimaga moving out with a large group of Roaches, and Dimaga does have superior numbers here. TLO actually might be in trouble with this, but Dimaga pulls back intelligently, not wanting to push his advantage quite yet, as these spine crawls would cause problems. And also this army for TLO, Dimaga did have to know that that wasn't the entire army, of course, of TLO that he was facing. And TLO taking the opportunity to move out towards Dimaga at the same time. Another army coming across the map for Dimaga as well, although a large reinforcing force at his 4th base. Reinforcing force, that's great. Meantime, TLO checking for that gold, but he is going to move into the natural of Dimaga. Small army waiting for him. Dimaga caught a little bit outside of position, but as he moves those Roaches in, he is going to get a nice concave on TLO, and TLO knows it, having to fall back, putting some fungal growths on some of the units of Dimaga just to kind of stave off the damage that Dimaga's army will be doing to TLO. TLO being chased all the way back to his base, still getting some nice fungals there. But it looks like this is going very badly for TLO. And that would be because TLO is behind in the economy and the army count, especially now, although TLO doing a good job of macroing up and keeping up with that 197 over 193. Dimaga still slightly in the lead, and TLO actually catching up as well in the income. Another attack coming across the map for TLO. He's able to get some nice fungals down on those initial Roaches, but pulling back as he sees he just doesn't have the muscle to deal with this army from Dimaga. So TLO again trying to go for something a little bit unique. But in the end, Dimaga just able to outpower it. Although this game isn't over yet, but I've got a feeling that it's going to go in Dimaga's favor. TLO able to catch a couple units for Dimaga, but these armies are about to clash. A couple units getting a little bit out of position for Dimaga, though he may have been doing just a little bit of scouting. Dimaga moving in with his forces, and TLO looks to have the advantage for just a second, but TLO is going to pull back, as those Hydralisks, of course, do a lot of damage in a very short amount of time. So Dimaga looking very strong. In the meantime, TLO moving out a bunch of Overlords, possibly doing a fake drop on Dimaga's base to try to pull his army back. And is Dimaga going to fall for it? Doesn't look like he's moving it quite yet. TLO possibly just doing a little bit of scouting now that his Overlords are over there. It doesn't look like he was able to pull Dimaga out of position. In fact, now Dimaga moving in towards the last base of TLO, the 4th base that just came up, the most recent one. And we're going to see how much damage he's doing. Looks like this is where the main battle is going to be. TLO initially favored with the concave, getting some nice fungals down on the roaches of Dimaga. But I think with these reinforcing Hydralisks, it's just going to be too much damage. And it looks like, yeah, after a little bit, Dimaga with the positioning able to push TLO back as well. So this is going to be the last stand. TLO getting some Corruptors and Ultralisks rather out, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Those Hydralisks are very good against Ultralisks if they do have some sort of barrier between them and the unit. And these Corruptors are not going to be a whole lot of help against Dimaga, although he is building some Broodlords, and there are some of the first ones as well. So TLO going into some late game tech, but this will result in him having a smaller army as well. And again, Dimaga, I think, going to be able to just muscle in and take out TLO in this game, although those Broodlords are going to be able to do some significant damage to this little force of Dimaga's. Dimaga gathering outside the 4th base of TLO that has been taken out. And if we go back to the army tab, both players, yeah, actually Dimaga quite a bit ahead now of TLO, 200 over 130 here. The TLO is trying to macro up an opposing force. But yeah, this kind of mismatch of higher 2 units, this is not going to stand up to this brute force attack by Dimaga, these Hydralisks and Roaches. I think he's just going to gradually whittle away at TLO now. And TLO still looking a little bit weak. Not a whole lot going on at the players' bases at the moment. This is pretty much where all the action is. TLO pulling back, and in the meantime, we do have some Mutalisks coming across the field for Dimaga as well. So Dimaga transitioning into Mutalisks, as those would, of course, be very effective against both Ultralisks and Broodlords. So Dimaga, again, doing some good scouting, getting good map control, and keeping track of what his opponent is doing. And this Mutalisk Hydralisk composition from Dimaga is going to push TLO back. TLO basically has no economy right now, as this was really his last mining base. TLO does GG, so Dimaga again doing a great job transitioning himself from sort of an all-inish player initially to a great macro player now, able to take out TLO. TLO just looks like he was kind of experimenting in this game, trying a whole bunch of different things, and of course it didn't work out for him this time, but I am very excited to see TLO playing Zerg again. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of great games from him in the future. 3 hatches in a row. Wow. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the cast. It's always interesting getting to cast TLO, especially when he's playing against such a great opponent like Dimaga. Again, if you like my cast, please subscribe. Otherwise, keep playing StarCraft 2, and have a great rest of the day, guys. See you guys on the next cast.